Faces Unmasked is a podcast of candid conversations that explore the intricate layers of our unique identities, worth, and value. I'm Lorin.
I'm Paige.
I'm Kim. Let's unmask.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. We are so excited that you are joining us today and for another fabulous topic. We're going to see where it goes.
Yes.
So who has the topic today?
I can start us with it. So I kind of thought of our idea for the topic today. When the idea came to me, the title that came to me was spiritual warfare. We're going to see if we end up going into that. But to start our conversations, I had this moment the other day, and lately I don't feel comfortable sitting in silence. Like, I never really felt comfortable sitting in silence. I always had to have music playing, TV on, something in the background, almost like my brain would just run and talk to itself and run all the time, where I never felt free of my own thoughts almost. Like, I just felt tormented by my own thoughts over and over and over again. So the other day, actually after our annual seminar event for Mary Kay, which is usually really inspiring and positive for me. It's always a good experience. And so I don't think it was a coincidence that a few days later, I'm sitting there doing my morning devotionals, my affirmations, all these things, and I'm in silence. Like, the entire day, I just didn't want outside noise. I just needed to sit there with my thoughts. And I thought so many times that day, this is so crazy. Like, I cannot believe I'm able to do this right now. And then just all the thoughts that came to my head, like, who am I? Because I'm telling people, like, I'm now creating my brand. I've created myself. I'm in a high status at one of my careers. I'm building another career, working on a podcast, like doing some other things. And so I actually just recently talked with another girl that I networked with, and I'm going to be taking on a coaching position to coach social media marketing and social media branding for small business owners, mainly Mary Kay girls. So I'm really excited about that. But taking on this position, she was asking me these questions. How do you do what you do? Why do you do what you do? Who are you? Because I have to be able to explain, if I'm going to be teaching branding to someone like Kim and Lorin, I want to teach you how to brand yourself. I have to know how to brand me. I have to know who I am and why I'm here and what I do, so then I can teach others to do that, which is very hard to do if you've never done it before, because it's taken me a long time to be able to sit there in silence and be in that position where I can ask myself, who am I? Why am I here? What do I love? And why do I do what I love? Or why do I love what I do? So what do I actually love that I do? That's kind of where I started, because I fell into a place where I was just not enjoying what I was doing anymore. And so then I found that little thing I loved, and each day I did that. And then I would add on to, okay, I'm doing something I love, and I need to add in something I need to do. And it was just kind of all these little wins I would find throughout the day. But so then coming into this new position, she asked me, how do you do what you do? Why do you do what you do? So I actually took the moment to sit there and ask, who am I and why am I here? And broke down what I do with my business and my careers, broke it down to the simplest piece of, okay, I do this, but why do I do that? And why do I do that? And at the end of the day, when I'm here at the end of the day, why do I want to be here? What do I want to do? And I just want to help people. So that's kind of where I got to, was I just want to help people. I don't care how that is. I don't care how I do it. If I can do this coaching virtual one time a week to help people brand themselves and create their social media platforms, to then take that out into their businesses and expand this Wichita area, expand Mary Kay, the company overall. Like, at the end of the day, I just want to help people. I don't even need to make money from it. Like, the money will come. But that's kind of where I got to, and it kind of lined up with that spiritual warfare. So that's kind of where we're at. And we really wanted to touch on the good questions to ask yourself. Who am I? Why am I here? What do I love? Why do I do what I love? And then your how. Like, how do you do it? How do you execute that every day to be that person you want to be?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think the who am I, or I wrote it down, who I am. But I also have this whole thing about that I am, you know.
Yep.
I think this is such a core question.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of times it's really hard to find your passion and get going in the direction that will bring you life if you don't first ask yourself this question, or if you don't really start to figure that out for yourself. And I don't know if I've ever talked about it on this show before. I mean, I did a lot of building my own who I am, for a long time. It was 30 years worth of building my own I am. And then I finally turned my face to the Lord and asked him, well, this is who I say I am, but who do you say I am? And really started letting him opened some of those things up to me, and things that I didn't think were so much me, or that I had pushed down because I wasn't comfortable with them or whatever. But I can tell you that even in those uncomfortable things, even in those things that you would never admit to yourself because you don't want to think too highly of yourself. Do you ever do this?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I do this.
Mhm.
It's like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm supposed to be this, but I could never. Oh, no, not other people can do that, but
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like you give yourself an easy way out.
Right. But when there's something about when the Lord says it to you, and then it like lands, and all of a sudden there are already roots, and then you get to just start working on helping it grow within you and start coming out. But I think that's really when you start finding those passions and things, is when you get aligned with how you are actually made and those identities that the Lord has given you. And then you can find those pieces, those like, here's the part that I love. So I'm going to focus on this, and then everything else can be built around it.
Yeah.
And I think that is so, 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 so valuable.
I love it. And I like how you differentiate, like, okay, I found who I was and who I think I am, and then also who does the Lord say I am? And that I like that differentiation, because sometimes you'll think you're something, you need to be somewhere at some point in your life, and you're not. But then who does he say you are? Because that's what's going to give you your freedom from that anxiety, that stress, that fear, is when you just lean into him and his plan and just allow and be present.
Right.
And it's, again, preaching to the choir. But
And in some of the past few episodes that we've done, we've talked about some trauma, right? And how that will really shape how you do things. But I think that's some of the identity that we build for ourselves, whether knowingly or not. Like, we start functioning according to the trauma and kind of guarding those wounds. And then we think that's who we are. But the fact of the matter is, the trauma is not who we are. It is something that has happened, and something that we can work on overcoming so that it doesn't become part of our identity.
yeah.
And sometimes when identity comes out of trauma, it starts getting you kind of down. I don't know that I'd say the wrong path, but it's like the long path. How's that? Like
Like the harder.
Yeah, it's like
path.
it's like the fighting to move forward, as opposed to allowing things to, not that everything's going to come easily in life, because I know that it doesn't. But when you're functioning out of the identity that the Lord has given you, like that true root, that core stuff that he's given you, I mean, I want to say you can flourish. Like, there's just this element in it that it's a fire that burns in your belly. It is a passion. It is something that you can't help but be propelled forward with. And sometimes with those trauma responses and the identity that comes out of that, it is like fighting through. Have you ever tried to run in mud or run in water?
I was just
Right?
thinking that.
Like, there's such resistance. Yes,
Yeah.
you're making motion, and yes, you're moving, but it's not easy. You know what I mean? And so I think this is why I think it's so important to really, like, it's fine if you've kind of developed who you are, but also go and ask the Lord, because there might be some of those things that need to fall off so that you can really run,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I need to start asking that question more. Who I am.
It's not always easy.
Yeah.
I was about to
Yeah,
say, it's also a
'cause-
very hard and scary question to ask,
Yeah.
because it opens Pandora's box. So, like, it's almost like sometimes you have to go through healings to be able to be open
Right.
and sit there. Like I said, like, I could not sit in silence. And then one day I knew multiple times through the day, wow, I cannot believe I'm sitting here in silence. So then I was like, I'll just stay I'll do it a little more. I'll do it a little more. And so then it was almost like I had healed enough to be able to be open enough to ask it, but then also to hear the answer. That's the other thing too, is you can ask, but if you're not open to hear, no, Lord, no. Okay, I want to know, who am I?
And then you're like, no.
No,
No,
Lord,
I didn't hear that
Yeah,
right.
like,
I didn't
I'm
hear
supposed
that
to be
right.
this. Like, but
not
you're
that
saying,
one, tell me something else.
But it's true. So I mean, yeah.
That's funny.
Because I think I just had so much stripped away of who I thought I was. And, you know, he told me, you know, you're my child, you're my frickin' princess. And so I'm daughter of him, I'm daughter of God, you know, it's not about who I am, but whose I am. And that is the core base of it all. But I know there's still more things, like who he made me to be. And I don't think I've asked that question yet, you know, because I'm just so been focused on not defining myself any other way, because that just brought so much pain when I couldn't fulfill those things. So I've been scared to ask the question again. I'm like, maybe I don't know, maybe I was focusing on the wrong things. And now it's just time to find the real things. Or maybe he might bring back some of those old things. I don't know.
It's quite possible.
But yeah, it's just
Or
asking that
pivot it in a
question.
new way that you could never imagine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, I would encourage this. So I think I would commend you. It's commendable if you go and you just say, okay, God, who am I? Lay it out for me. You know what I mean? Because I know that he's determined a destiny for all of us, and there are all these different parts of it. And that's huge, right? But I would say that sometimes the easier way, the more bite-sized piece is to go and say, okay, God, can you tell me one thing about me? Just tell me one thing about how you've made me. And then sit with that for a while until you're ready for the next one. And I know that he is gracious enough to do it however is best for you. You know what I mean? So I think sometimes, yes, it really absolutely can be like opening a Pandora's box. But also, it can also be very, I don't know, it can be spaced out and very palatable, right, for the time that you're in. And so it doesn't have to be some big overwhelming thing. Maybe it will be, but maybe it'll blow your freaking mind and you're going to be propelled into something you never would have dreamed of. And this was the kick in the pants that you needed or something. You know what I mean? I can't determine what is his way and what isn't his way. But I also know that he is gracious and he loves you, right? And he's made you in his image. And so for him to reveal that part of him that he's put in you is actually such a beautiful and glorious thing. And again, if you can just take it piece by piece and kind of allow that to start to bloom and then flourish, I think you'll really start seeing life in some situations that maybe felt like they couldn't bring life before. You know?
Yeah, I love that.
Even if it's like a mundane job, like, oh, I hate my job. Oh, it's so terrible. It may be something that if he reveals to you something about yourself and your purpose and being there, then all of a sudden, wow, I'm like, now you're driven to be there because you know what you're doing. You know what I mean? More than just knowing the tasks of the job, you know the purpose, the why, you know? And I think it's a game changer. The why is always a game changer.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's also not as easy of a task to find your why sometimes than I think it's made out to be, because everyone was like, just find your why, just find your why. And I had lists and all these reasons why I would write every single day, but then I found the core stripped down, simplest version of the why. And I don't even think it's all of it. I think it's a part of it, a small piece of it, like you said, because once I don't think I was able to take everything at once, and that's when I got overwhelmed. So then I had to go piece by piece. I had to give myself small bits at a time. And so I love that. I love that you broke that down. Also, I like the question, why am I here? That's a really good one, because if you're asking that, usually you're asking, why am I here? And that's actually the Lord nudging you to tell you your purpose. You just need to lean into it instead of leaning into obviously the enemy, which brings over or the anxiety, the stress, you know, all those negative emotions. Instead of leaning into that, lean into, okay, why am I here? Why am I here, Lord? Like, honestly, well, once you break that down to the simplest form, that was how I found my why. Like, what do I love to do? Why do I love to, like, why am I loving to do that? Why am I here? And so then who am I? It starts to break it down so simple. And it's exciting.
You have to get really real with yourself when you're finding your why.
Yeah.
Because you can come up with a whole bunch of things that sound good.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
But what is the real why?
Yeah. The one that makes you tear up.
Exactly. I know,
know?
like I'm going to be like real honest. Like one of my whys, of course, I'm like, well, my daughters, of course. I'm going to do this for them. It's actually not for them.
I mean, you think about it at the end of the day,
but
it's like,
you
do want to do it for them.
I
to an
do want to do it
extent.
for them. That,
But-
of course, that's one of my reasons why. But whenever I get down to like the core of why do I want to do this business, like why do I want to go for what I'm going for? Of course, I want to do it for them too.
Yes.
Of course, I want them to have everything that I wish I would have had growing up. Not that you need it, but I want to give it to
Yeah.
I want to give them everything. But it's really, I really got to thinking about it, and the biggest thing that like started making me cry was me being up on a stage talking. I'm going to cry. This seems so simple.
It is.
Mitchell down in the audience looking at me, beaming with pride. Because I'm doing it, like, because he has dreams that he wants to fulfill too. And I want to help him with his stuff.
I feel like
And
your
then-
why is to
yeah.
inspire. Like, to see, not to inspire, like for you to get the glory from it, but to see the eyes of others you inspire as you're inspiring. Because I feel like I just got chills when I was listening to you talk about that. And I can see that.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's all you
That's
want
what
to
I
do.
want.
Is sit-
That's the moment I want.
yeah, just to be up on
I'm gonna
stage
cry
to show
about
others, like, that, hey, I'm here. Listen to, like, you're inspiring your family. Because if they see you there, your husband's going to know he can do it. Your girls are going to know they can do it and more. Others are going to see that. So that's amazing. I love that you shared that.
I know. See, there are things that you might think are the why that seem really noble. And like, of course, that's it. But I'm like, really, like, get by yourself. Really search yourself.
Yeah.
And like get down to the nitty gritty, deep core, like what makes you tear up when you think about it. No matter how selfish it might seem, it may not actually be selfish. You just need to explore it.
Yeah.
Even if it seems selfish at first, like just go there. Just go there. See what happens.
Yeah.
Sure. I think if that seems a little bit scary or whatever, I don't know what it seems like, but I was thinking as you were talking about that, like there will be a list of the whys that you are able to make and put on paper and be willing to show people, but also maybe be willing to make that heart checklist, because there are those things that are really close to you that you would never say out loud. You know what I mean? That really inspire and really are the things that drive you and are the purpose of what you're doing. And I think it's totally fine to make that list that is private to you as well. That you don't even have to share with others. But then when you hit that moment, you get to like go, did it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's huge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Super good.
I do want to hit to the how. So once you find, what do I love? Why am I here? Who am I? And you find that, then how do you execute? And how do you execute every day to continue to be that person that you're made to be? And I just think there's so many ways, especially this quote that I got. I wish I could remember who it was, but someone at seminar, one of our higher ups said, make a plan or plan to fail. So right there, I mean, there's a how. You just making your plan to get where you want to go or to do what you need to do every day, those small steps, those bite-sized pieces. What do you need to do every day to make a plan? Because if you're not making that plan, you're planning to fail another day and then another day and then another day, another hour, another minute. And we don't have that much time on this earth. So when you think of who I am, why am I here, think about that limitless time. And time is the most precious thing we have because it is not returnable. You can't get back time. So you have to be on purpose in every way you live. And I know we say it over and over again, but just all intentional.
It's like my word for
Yes.
the year.
Intentionality. So if you're intentional to make that plan because you know who you are, you know who you want to be. Yes, there's going to be those times when you get off the path, but you have that plan. So you can never fail because you have the plan. You just got to make the plan. So you're not planning to fail because you have something there. So that was a big how. I mean, starting off just making a plan to do one thing every day. So
right. If I heard this quote, I feel like I may have said it on here before. Unless you change something you do every day, nothing's going to change.
yeah.
You're going to stay right where you are. So that's a big question. Like, I'm like, okay, here's what I want. How do I do it? It's a really big question. So it really breaks down to what are small things you can do every day. That's where I am right now, is planning day by day. What are bit by bit things that I can do daily that are eventually going to lead up
And
to what I'm going
that
for.
too.
Yeah, and trusting the process.
The process. But yeah, for sure. And just to being that every single day, like you said, being that, doing it,
Showing
and not
up,
trying.
Showing up with a spirit of excellence.
I love that.
I know, right? I can't take credit for that. Showing up every day with a spirit of excellence in everything you do, having intentionality. And what was it? Something someone said to me yesterday was, one thing, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. I'm like,
It's so true, though.
okay.
It is so true.
Yeah. So how do you treat your days?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
I think that's good. I think one of the things behind the how is that, yes, make a plan. But if you make a plan and you don't do anything with it, then it's still just nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's an element of execution. Excuse me. And an element of doing. And sometimes the day-to-day tasks will get mundane. So you might start them out and it's exciting, but then after a month and a half of doing it, it is so routine and you're just bored with it. But I think that's when you have to know that passion, that thing that drives you, your why, because that's what can ignite you to continue to do it. So when you're filling out a budget sheet or something, whatever it might be at the moment, and it is so boring and you feel like it's life-sucking, you have to remember, like, where is this taking me, right? Like, you're steering the ship. This is just the little bit of acceleration or fuel or ignition that's getting you a little bit further. You know what I mean? So you don't have to, you don't have to take joy in every task, but know that there's a bigger purpose and passion behind it, and it will make it so much more doable. And I say this, I was in a corporate job for 15 years, and I really found myself probably 12 of those years hating every minute of it. And, but in those years also is when I really started digging into who I am and who the Lord says I am and my why. And in that job, I saw no why. I saw nothing. There was nothing that was driving me. None of it was bringing me life. All I wanted was to get out. But the more that I sought the Lord on it, the more purpose I found in being there. And it wasn't meant to be permanent, but I was filling a role while I was there. And it had nothing to do with a debit and a credit. I was managing an accounting office, right? It had nothing to do with those day-to-day tasks. But, and this is funny, every time when I got to a point where I had had enough, I'm just like, okay, listen, God, get with me on this because I'm leaving. That was really my attitude. He would then send somebody who I don't even talk to ever to my office to come go, Kim, can I talk to you for a second?
Oh my gosh.
I just really need some prayer right now.
Oh my gosh.
And I just don't know what to do with myself. And then we would close the door and we would, I would be able to help them through some stuff.
Wow.
And I remember the last time I got to that point, because I was like, oh, all right, God, really, I'm leaving this time. I will not do this anymore. And he sent one of the owners
Oh my gosh.
And they're not like, I'm a Protestant, they're Catholic. And so typically Catholics don't necessarily look at Protestants as people to go to for prayer.
Mhm.
It just kind of tends to be that way. And he came in and he closed the door and he's like, I got this diagnosis. I can't tell all of my family. I don't know what I'm going to do. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, it was
Big.
It was big. And it was those reminders when I couldn't even remind myself of my purpose, but I knew that I was there for a reason
Mhm.
to really help people. And it had nothing to do with the tasks I was actually doing.
Mhm.
The tasks got me the paycheck, but it was my purpose that like infused life into that. And I think I'm telling this story because I think the how and the why are so connected,
Mhm.
you know, and being willing to be tapped into kind of being guided and directed by what the Lord has for you in any given moment, and realizing that his purposes are higher than our purposes. Even if you really hate it, like he may have some big things and big impactful things that happen there. And, you know, even to this day, I've been gone from that place for 3.5 years. I still have so many people from there who will call me if something's happening. Like if they're struggling with something, they will still call, and like they know that I'm a reliable person. They know that I will help them. I will at least pray for them. You know what I mean? Like there's something there, and there was something that was sown and that is able to be reaped because of it. And I think like with owning our own businesses, outworking the stuff that we're doing on the day-to-day, it may seem mundane, but you just showing up could be really life-changing for somebody. Yeah. And I think that's where that why and that how have to kind of merge. You know what I mean? They have to come together. You do the little things because when it's a big thing, it matters.
Or you never
You
know
know?
whose dreams are attached to yours. I mean, with like
Right.
Lorin, your example, you have your family attached to your dream.
Mhm.
And so who knows, like, if they're, if they have some people may dream something for you too. Like, I know that there's people like in my life that dream something for me. And so because it's in their dream. When she gets to this point, I'll be at this point. You know, it's like one of those things. So that's interesting too, because that ties in with, okay, who am I? Why am I here? And then who else could be connected? Because now on my day-to-day tasks, that's going to keep me focused because I know my why. I know why I'm here, and I know that my actions affect those around me. And it just, I feel like once you get to those points, it's just like a night and day difference with your life. It really is. Like, it goes from chaos and questioning and uncertainty and anxiety and stress and fear to assurance, confidence, bravery, organization. Like, it's amazing. So, any parting words you guys can think of? I do pray for a fire for all of you, for you two ladies and for everyone on here. Fire for our own lives. My word for my business this past year was ignite. And so it was interesting that this word now fire came to my mind. That came to my forefront of my mind. Like, I was ignited. Now the fire is about to start is what I'm thinking. So I pray for a fire for everyone. I pray for a spark, something that can get you to find what you love and to get you going to find who you are, why you're here, and to just really change the world.
I love that, Paige.
Love that too. Okay, so we've got ignite, fire, intentionality.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a word?
Find you. I mean, I guess that's it.
Oh,
You know?
discover.
Sure.
Search.
Search.
How about ask?
Ask. All right, guys.
The one thing we've been talking about this entire time is asking questions. Ask the questions.
Yes. Thank you guys for being on. Remember to like, subscribe, follow, all that fun stuff. But we appreciate you guys being on.
See you
Comment
next
your
time.
takeaways.
That's it for today. Thanks for listening. Keep up with us on this unmasking journey by joining us every Friday.
Like, subscribe, and follow us on Instagram. This episode is sponsored by Podcast Solutions and podcasttables.shop.
As always, we're glad you're here. See you next week.
Boom, done.